This is a histogram, and in this video we are going to use this histogram to answer this question, right? So the idea of a histogram is a graphical representations of information. So let's use this pure exams question to demonstrate how we can solve this type of problem using a histogram. From the question, we are given a marks obtained by 50 students in a test or a class, right? So I decided to write this thing here for you to know exactly how to count, right? So that you to avoid any mistake. Now you are using the class interval. You are given an interval. So this is the marks. They say you should use the class interval from 10 to 19 and then 20 to 29. So what follows? Right, what follows? So the idea here, this one should tell you that we have the next one. Look at the arrangement from 10 to 19 and then from 20 to 29. So the next one should be automatically be 30 to 39 and then 40 to 49 and then 50 to 59 and so on and so forth. Where are you going to end? Right, where are you going to end? That was the question. So maybe if you know that, just pause the video and comment down below, right? Okay, well done. Now where you are going to end depends on the highest values of the marks obtained in the test, right? So we know that obviously in the class the marks is being marked over 100, right? So maybe you can say that the highest marks here, that should be 90, right? 90. You just have to look at that 90 and know exactly where you are supposed to end. Okay, so let's fill in this gap here. Let's fill in this gap here and then we come back and continue. So you may pause the video and finish filling in this gap and then come back and check the solution for that. Okay, welcome back. This is what I've got, right? Just compare that to yours. So from 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 40 to 49, and then so on and so forth. The last one is 90 to 99. Is that okay? Don't just watch the video. If you are watching, then meaning that you are just watching a novella, right? So you just have to do the calculation along and see exactly how to do that. Okay. Now the next one, the question says you should draw a frequency distribution table, right? This is the distribution table that we are drawing. So how do you do that? You have to count, right? This tally here tells me that the number of people who obtain the marks between 10 and 19, right? So you just have to go and look at the marks that we have. So how many people are in this category, right? From 10 to 90. How many people scored 10 to 90? But that is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 up to 90, right? So you just need to count. So how do you count? You count. So you may go this way or that way, line by line. Is that okay? So you can go in the column way or the row. Is that okay? So let me go down here. So this is one. This will be in that part, right? So let me check here. Just need to check one by one. Do I have anybody here? No. Let me move to the next line, right? So you just need to check, right? I'm looking for people that are between 10 to 19. Okay, 10 to 19. So yeah, so I have another one here too, and then what again? So let's check. You just need to check like this. So line by line, right? So line by line, line by line, line by line. So let's check that. So 31 here, I don't have. Just line by line. Is that okay? So line by line, line by line. So you just need to check like that, right? Check across. So line by line, line by line, line by line. Okay, so that is how you count, right? This is how you count. Okay, so from the category of 10 to 19, we got only two people, right? This guy and that guy. Is that okay? So here will be just two people, right? Just two people. The tally is just the counter. So 1, 2. We got only two people. So the frequency reflects the tally. So this is the real figure. So this is 2, right? Okay, so the same way you have to count for all the intervals. So from 20 to 29, how many people got that? Just be counted, right? So the reason why I brought that, you can use the different sign. So let's look at the categories of 20 to 29, right? 20 to 29. You look at the sign that I use here. You can use a different sign so that to avoid any mistake, right? So I'm looking for 20 to 29. 20 to 29. We have a 14 here, right? So 14 here. So 14 here, we are making a mistake. That's why I say you should check that. So 14 here. So this guy has to be part right? So here should be what? Here should be 3. Is that okay? Here should be 3. So this guy will tend to be what? 3. Is that okay? Okay, that is how simple. Now let's go to the categories of what? 20 to 29, right? So just check that. 20 to 29, 20 to 29, 20 to 29. You can use a different side to avoid any mistake. 20 to what? 29. 20. I have 29 here, so I can decide to circle that. Have you see? To avoid, you see that this is different from that, right? Okay, that is the reason why I decided to bring this to show you that. Is that okay? All right, so just let's fill in the spaces and come back and come and check that. All right. Okay, so after I counted, this is what I got. So in this category I have 2, so 2 people here, and then 30 to 39. Look at what is happening. When you count up to 5, you just need use the 5th one to cross the bar, right? So this category of 30 to 39 I got was 7, so 1 2 3 4, and then the 5th one to cross it, right? So 5, then 6 7. So this is the figure here. So that is how you fill in the spaces, right? Okay, so I'm having what? 3 2 7 11 10 7 7 2 and what? 1, right? Okay, now the secret here is you just have to make sure that when you sum everything here, the frequency should be equal to the number being given to. So we are told that in the class of 50 students, right? So this has to be what? Equal to 50. If this is more than that from the question, then you know that there's a mistake somewhere. Okay, now in my opinion, don't be in a hurry to move on to find the class boundary, class midpoint, and so on and so forth, right? The idea is that what we are looking for, that will call for all this type, right? So what are we looking for? They say we should draw a histogram. So this is what? A pure group what? Data, right? What I mean by the group data is that you can see from we are arranging them from 10 to 19 is what? One interval, right? One class. So we are grouping them, right? So this is what? A group data. So the question says you should draw a histogram. The idea of histogram, let's say this is how the histograms look like, right? Because you don't have any negative. Now assuming this is the graph, I will draw that in just a few minutes, so pay close attention here. So this is what the histogram that what will be here. So you need to know which people are supposed to be here. So of course this is where you're having what? Our frequency, right? So we already got the frequencies. So these are the frequencies over here. Is that okay? So these are the frequencies. The number here depending on the smaller number and the highest number among them. So I think the highest number there is that should be 11, right? So you have to know how to number. I will do that in just a few minutes. So make sure that you watch the video to the end. Okay. Now what to be here? What to be on this line? What to be on this line? So we are plotting. This is the frequency, meaning that 3 people had what between 10 to 11, and then 2 people got between 20 to 29, and so on and so forth. They are here, but which people will be on this line, right? Which people? So we plot this thing against what? The class boundary, right? So the class boundary, there's something called class boundary. So let's look at exactly what is that. Is that okay? So what will be here is what? Is the class boundary, and let's look at the image behind what? The class boundary and how to find that. Is that okay? Okay, now that is why we got this column here. So this is what the class boundary that we are going to have a look. And how do you find that, right? Don't let the name scare you, but the image behind the name is the most important thing. How do you find that? For you to get a class boundary, just like the boundaries of your, let's say the boundaries of your class, right? Your classroom, the boundaries, so the walls of what? Your classroom, right? So this is also the boundaries of the classroom. That is what you are going to find over here. And then how do you do that? You look at this, look at something, look at what is happening here. So you pick the last number in one class interval. So what I mean by the class interval, the arrangement here, you see we are moving from 10 to 19. So let's pick this guy, right? So the last number, the last max here is 19, and then the next what? The next number in the next arrangement. Is that okay? So this guy and this guy, look at the crossing, right? That guy and that guy, right? So this is what we are looking for. So this guy and this guy is what you are supposed to use to find out the class boundary. This is the law. This is the formula that you have to obey, right? This is just a tool that you use to find the class boundary. Okay, now how do you do that? Look, I said the last number in one interval here from 10 to 90, and then the first number here in what? The next class, just the immediate one. Is that okay? How do you do that? You find the difference between them. So you subtract the smaller one from what? The bigger one. So in this case, that is 20 minus what? 19, right? So 20 minus 19, 20 minus that is equal to 1. Is that okay? So that is equal to, that is very, very simple. When you look at what is happening, they are all the same. So when I pick this last person here and then this guy, right? Can you see that the difference between the 30 and 29 is still 1, right? What about this guy and then the 40? Right? It's still 1, right? The same thing. That is the first step. Okay, when you got out there, you just divide this one by 2, right? Divide it by 2, that will give you 0.5. Is that okay? The answer is not always 0.5, so you have to obey the 2 and understand how to use these 2 here. Just the last number in one range here, and then the first number in the next what range, right? The immediate what range, right? You find the difference between them, and then you divide that by 2. So that will give you what 0.5, right? Okay, what are you going to use this 0.5 to do in the class boundary? So all that you have to do in the class boundary here is that you look at the range, right? You look at the range. So this guy here, the answer that you got, right? Here in this case, you are having what? 0.5. Is that okay? You are having 0.5. So what are you going to use that 0.5 to do? So is what you come to this line here, the first line, that you subtract out your answer. So in this case, it's what 0.5. So 10 minus what 10 minus 0.5, that will be what 9.5, right? And then you add that same answer 0.5 to the upper one, right? So this is the upper one. So you subtract, just, we are not doing anything, we are taking 0.5 from this guy and then give it to this guy, right? Take 0.5 from this guy and give it to this guy. I'm not saying it is always 0.5. So after subtracting and then divide by 2, the answer that you get here, right? The answer that you get here, that is all you have to subtract from this guy and then give it to this guy. So when I subtract 0.5 from this guy, I'm getting what 9.5. So the first one here will be what 9.52, and then let's go and give that 0.5 to the upper one. So 19 plus 0.5, that will be what 19.5. Is that okay? So this is how you find what the class boundary, right? So you have to do the same thing. So this answer here remain constant, right? This answer here remain constant in this case. Right? So all I have to do here, you take that 0.5 from 20, and then you go and give that 0.5 to what 29. So 0.5 from this guy, and then go and give it to the upper person. So okay, so the next line will be what? That will be what 19.5, and then to 29.5. This is easy to do, right? The explanation takes time, but once you are doing the calculation, everything just moves smooth. Okay, let me fill in the gap and then come back and calculate. Okay, welcome back. So after filling the spaces, I got what this beautiful numbers over here, right? You just subtract the 0.5 from the first one, and then you give it to the upper person, right? So the 0.5 from the small boy, and then give that 0.5 to the big boy, right? The elderly person. So 9.5 to 90.5, and then the next line will be what? Look at this from 20, that's we are taking 0.5 from here, that will give him what 90.5, and then to 29.5, and then from here to 29.5 to what 39.5, and so on and so forth. So you got all these numbers, right? Okay, now we know that this is what we are supposed to use in what drawing our histogram. Is that okay? So we need the frequencies here, and then we need what the class boundary. This is how you use, or these are the tools that we use to draw a histogram when you're having a group data, right? This is what I mean by the group. So the tools that you need to use what the class boundary and what the frequency. Sometimes you can use the class intervals, right? Or maybe the class midpoint. Is that okay? The class midpoint. But mostly, if you are not restricted, then you can use the class boundary, right? This is something that we normally use, the class boundary, unless otherwise they will be asked to use the class midpoint. Okay, now from here, now we can move on to go and draw what our histogram nicely. So let's have a look at how the histogram will look like. Right, now let's look at how to draw the histogram. Okay, at this point we know that this line here, the one going up here is for what? The frequencies, and we have the frequencies at what? Our disposal. How to number them is the most important thing. You see, nobody is forcing you to do that. And then one trick you have to make sure that your graph is not squeezed somewhere down here, right? Your graph is not just below this line like something. At least it should be half or more than half of the entire graph sheet. Is that okay? It should be half or more than half of the entire graph sheet. So what I have to do, you have to look for the smallest number in the frequency and then the largest number among them. So here the smallest one is 1, right? It's 1. You can see 1 here, and then the largest or the biggest one is what? 11. So you have to make sure that all the numbers appear on what? This line, right? So I decided to go like this: 1 and then 2 with the deep lines, right? So 1 2 3 4, and then I got the last one to be what? Number 12, right? So of course all the frequencies are available. Then how do you number the class boundary? Okay, how do you do that? Don't be in hurry, right? Don't be in hurry. So one idea of what the histogram is that you just have to count. The secret, in my opinion, is that how many bars. What I mean by the bars, we use the bars to represent what the information that we are having. So how many bars are we going to get? So you can count, right? You can just count them. So this is for 1 bar, 2 bars, and then 3 4 5 6 7 8, and then 9. In all, we are going to get 9 different bars, right? So if I decided to go like this, let's say I decided to go like this, let's ignore this guy, right? The reason is that we need some clear and neat work here. So let's ignore the first bar. So let's say from here to here is 1 bar. So this is 1, right? Can you see this is 1 here? So 2, and then 3, right? 4 5, and then 6 7 8 9. That is okay, right? We've got all the 9 bars here, so that's okay. We can go that, right? We can do anything that we can start from here. Is that okay? So from here, what to be the number? What to be the number at this? So remember, we say class boundary. Boundaries are the edges, right? The edges of what? Yeah, let's say your classroom. So the boundaries are the edges of your classroom. So you start by numbering here to be what? 9.5, right? So 9.5. So here will be what? From 9.5. Look at this. This is the boundary, right? 9.5 to what? To what are we having here? We are having what? 19.5, right? So to what? 19.5. Here should be what? 19.5. Is that okay? So from 9.5 to what? 19.5. So what was the height? What is the height of what? What's the frequency is what? 3, right? The frequency is what? 3. So the frequency is what? 3. So let's look at that. 3. So 3 is here. 3 is here, right? So 3 is here. Then you draw your bar what? Nicely. Is that okay? So you draw your bar what? Very, very nicely. And then the next one will be what? From 19.5 to what? 29.5, right? So the boundary. So here you already got what? The 19.5 here, right? So that is easy. So to 29. So here we go 29.5, right? So 20. What is the height? What is the frequency there? So that is 2. So you just look at it 2. So from here 2 is this here, right? So let me draw the bars and then come back and show you exactly what I've done. Okay, this is my beautiful histogram, right? So you consider from 9.5 to 19.5, the height was 3, right? From the frequency was 3, meaning that 3 people from the class got what? Those marks, and then so on and so forth, right? So for you to have a clear vision of what is happening, you may choose to shade it, right? You may choose to shade here. Is that okay? So you may choose to shade the columns that we are having, just to stand out. Okay. And the next question says that you should use your graph to estimate the mode, right? The idea of the mode is that the one with what? The highest frequency, the numbers that they've scored most in the test, right? That is the meaning of the mode. So from this thing you can see that this guys stand tall, right? So these guys stand tall among them, right? This column is from 39.5 to what? 49.5 stand tall. So what they say, you should use this graph to demonstrate that. Is that okay? To calculate the mode, the exact number that scored the highest marks over here, which people scores the highest marks, right? So let's look at the marks that got what? The highest frequency over. How do you do that? So just pick your ruler, right? Just pick your rule. So what I have to do is that you stand on the tallest bar here, right? You just stand at the edge. Look at the edge. This edge here. Is that okay? This edge here to the next the bar, the edge of the next bar, right? So this is 1 point to the other one. Is that okay? And then you rule a line from the angle to what? This joint, right? Can you see the joint to joint? And then the same applies to the other one. So the corner here, the joint here, and then you join the line to the next immediate what number, the next immediate bar, right? The previous bar, the edges. So edge to edge, right? The corners to the corner. So the corner of the what? The previous bar to the angle here, and then the corner of what? The tallest one to what? The edge of what? The next angle. Is that okay? So let's do that. Okay, now after you connect the two lines, so you can see from the angle here to the beginning of what? The next bar, and then from the angle here to the what? The end of what? The previous bar, right? So this is how you have to join the two lines. So where they intersect, what I mean by where they intersect are this point here, right? This point here is what we are going to use to trace what? The mode. Is that okay? So the intersection of these two guys, right? Where they intersect, the point here. So just put your ruler down and then trace the number down, right? Just trace the line here. So you can see that I'm using some short dashes over here. So from here down to the line. So what are we looking for? We are looking for what? The mode of the class, right? The mode, that is what? The highest mark of what? The class, right? Okay, so let's trace down from the intersection here. So you just need to trace down, trace the line, just use the shoulder to trace the line, and then you get what? The number here, right? So you get what? The exact number here. So what is the number here? So the reading is the most important thing here. So here what we are looking for is an approximation, right? It's an approximation. So what we are looking for is an approximation. You can see that here is what? 39.5, and then here is what? 49.5. What do? You just need to count this box, right? Just count them. So 1 2 3 4, and add out to that. Is that okay? We count them 1 2 3 4, add out to 39.5. so that when you do that correctly, when you count the bosses, the small what bosses in between this line, when you count them correctly and add out to the 39.5, that will give you exactly, it's an approximation, right? So that should be somewhere 48%, right? Is that okay? That should be somewhere 48% when you do the counting correctly. What are we are looking for? That we want to see that you are doing the right thing. Is that okay? Okay, now we are done with what? The histogram, right? So we are done with the histogram. So this is what? A very nice histogram that you should know how to tackle when you should, in case you get these questions. Let's look at the questions that follows. The next question says that you should calculate the mean, right? The mean mass of what? The class. They say you need to know the mean. What is the mean? That's the most important thing. When I ask you to call me someone, I have to give you that person, and of course you have to know the person before you can call that person, right? So we need to know the mean. What is the mean? So this is what we call the mean, right? The mean. This mean here is for what? A grouped data, right? So you have a different types of mean. So this particular one is for what? A group data. So this is the tool that you have to use to calculate that mean, right? The reason I'm saying is a group data is that, look at something, you have been arranged from 10 to what? 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, and so on and so forth. So it has been grouped into a certain category. So this is what we have to use to calculate the mean. Is that okay? Now what it means is that this sign here stand for what? Sigma fx. So sigma here is the summation. We call it summation what? Of fx. So summation, we are going to sum f multiplied by x, right? We are going to sum f multiplied by x, and then you divide that by what? The summation of what? The f. So the f here is coming from the frequency, and the x is what you have to look for, right? That is why I indicate that by what? A red pen. So f here is the frequency, so the summation, so meaning that we should add all the frequency. Is that okay? So the top here also says that we should add all the fx, f multiplied by x. Now we know f, we don't know x. You see, in mathematics, for you to be able to use any definition or formula, you have to know the players. I call them the players, right? You have to know exactly what they are doing. So here we know this guy, that this guy is adding everything here. So what are we adding? We are adding fx. We don't know x, but we know f, and then we know f at the down here. So let's go for the down here. So this will be something like the summation of this will be equal to the summation. We are adding the frequency. So let's go and look for the frequency. It says that we should add all the frequencies. So what is the frequency? These are the frequency, right? So when you add them, what are we getting? We are going to get 50 in all. So when you add everything here should go 50, right? Everything down here should go, summation of s should be equal to 50. Is that okay? 50. You can check that and see, right? Just check that. And so the down here is what? 50. Here should be what? 50. Okay, what about the top? Do you know x? We don't know x. So how can we get the fx? Okay, now you know f, but you don't know s. So it is our duty to look for what? The x first, and then how do you find that x, right? How do you find that x from this one distribution table? So what I have to do here is look at the way to look for that x here. So we call it what? A midpoint, right? Class midpoint. We call it what? A midpoint, meaning what? The middle what? Point. So the middle point of what? Of these two guys, right? Of these two guys. So 10 plus 19, that will be what? 29. Is that okay? 29. They say the middle of the 29 is what? Meaning you should divide it by 2. Is that okay? So 10, the middle of these two guys. So 10 plus 19 will give him what? 29. So 20 plus 29, that will be what? 49, right? 49. So the middle of the middle, you should divide that by 2. So this is how you find what? The class midpoint of this type of data. Is that okay? So now if you divide it here by that will give you 14.5, right? 14.5 and so on and so forth. Is that okay? So you may choose to use this, right? So I say that this is somehow difficult because of the point and so on and so forth. So I will go for the first part, right? So I'll add this plus that and then divide it by 2. I'm looking for the middle point of 2. So let's fill in the gap and come back and continue. Okay, this is what I got after what? Adding and dividing by 2. So I had 14.5 and then 24.5 and then 34.5 and so on and so forth, right? So the same thing. What I needed to do is to add the 2 and then divide it by 2. They say midpoint, right? The middle point. So this is what we call the x, right? After finding the x, what do? Now we can you know what we are looking for. We are looking for fx. This is what we are looking for, so that we can go and put it inside that definition. Is that okay? So this is what we are looking for. We want the f to multiply the x. Now we know f, which is what? The frequencies, right? Those are the frequencies. We know them. And then we also find what? X. So what I have to do is to multiply the 2, right? So you need to multiply this so line by line, right? Line by line. So 3 multiplied by what? Multiply by the x, right? That is what? 14.5. Is that okay? And then you write your answer here very nicely, and then and so on and so forth. 2 here will multiply the x, so the x here is 24.5, and then you write your answer there nicely. So when you are done, this is summation of fx, so meaning we should add all the fx. So you are going to add everything here. So let's multiply first, and then before you add everything. After multiplying, you should get something like that. That's 43.5 and then 49. So you know what we are multiplying. We are multiplying this 24.5 by what? By 2. So line by line. So 7 multiplied by what? 34.5. That will give you more. 241.5 and so on and so forth. So when you multiply, you should get something like this. If you are getting a different answers, just comment down below, right? Just comment down below. We are ready to help you. Now what is our next step? They say the summation, meaning that we should add all the fx. So now that we are able to find what? Fx, then we can add them together, right? They say we should add everything. So let's add them. We are adding all these guys. So when you add them one by one, when you add them, we should get something like 2,605, right? This is what you should add. Now that we find this and we know the frequency, now we can look for the mean. Is that okay? We can look for that. That is a very simple thing to do. You just need to know the players, and then you know how to apply them. So okay, this is what I'm having, right? So the mean says that the summation for fs, meaning we should add all the fs, and then we divide it by what? By adding all the this. So when I added everything down here, I got 50, and then the top is what? 2605, right? So we divide that by that. That should give you somewhere 52.1. Is that okay? 52.1. You divide that by that should be 52.1%. The reason why I be percent that the marks is being what? In percentage. Is that okay? So this is how simple you should solve what? This type of question or a histogram. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like. Comment down below and share the links to your friends to join us. Thank you for watching.